Greetings, galactic comrades, friends, and family. It is I, Shamballa Mario, aka the Blu-ray Bodhisattva, and today I am going to attempt to make a short video, but you all knowing me, I have the tendency to go on long rants, so bear with me, and I will do my best to keep creating as much content as possible to really help you understand the workings of my mind and interpreting and perceiving astrology and the many cycles, and how I use it to navigate this wondrous time we are in, this chaotic time we are in on planet Earth, this paradigm shift, this apocalyptic cycle and era of rebirthing and transformation. So I'm going to go over just some basic things of astrology, just to kind of like lay down a groundwork here of the planets and whatnot. But I mean, obviously, there's so much to talk about, and there are so many wonderful astrologers and psychics and intuitives out there. And just as a disclaimer, letting you all know, like I'm not a guru. I don't know all that there is to know. I don't really know anything. All I know is the information and the wisdom I have, and my ability to connect to my heart center to help me navigate and ground myself in the midst of this miasma, of this samsara experience, and how to with the resources and information I pick up along the way to alleviate the veil and the suffering. And there's, of course, a much more profound inner standing, inner knowing of things that are almost ineffable to verbally describe, because it's an energetic knowing. It's an assurance. So, I just wanted to let you guys know that in no way, I speak what I speak with authority, because I'm coming from a place of my own life experience. But in no way, and when I speak with the authority that I speak in, am I trying to portray myself as somebody who knows it all, or who is a master or a guru, or any of that. I do not want to put that kind of shit on me, and I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm not trying to sell you on a product. I'm not trying to sell you on some fucking make-believe shit. Like I'm just open with things. And again, there are so many other astrologers out there, and I encourage you to pick the ones that really resonate with you and tune into all of their content. And through other people sharing information, you tapping into your own inner wisdom, come up with your own conclusions, with your own inner knowing to how to navigate your present reality. So I'm just continuing to say all these things because I'm going to sort of brush the surface of a lot of different topics here, just to get the framework and the groundwork going. And of course, through your own time, through your own research, you can dive deeper into all these things. You can work with me personally to teach you all these things, just for the sake of time and not overloading you with too much in depth, because I'm not trying to show off. I'm not trying to show off just how much I know, and there's no need to. You can do a lot of this on your own. So I'm just, again, laying down the framework and the basics here. What are my chickens up to over there? We have some gophers that love to break into the chicken pen there. Oopsies. All right, so I have a number of different things here written up on here on this whiteboard, and on the other side of the whiteboard. And here I just have an image of the solar system and the planets with mathematical equations that help you give you the frequency of how these planets vibrate. And then again, another graph here that just kind of gives the layout on how the planets vibrate at the different frequencies, and how they are connected to chakra points and the spheres, the music of the spheres. And many of y'all are familiar with this type of graph. I totally botched it. It's not perfect, but you know what I'm saying here is, like, there are different harmonic scales. There are different tones, and once you reach the top, then the things move on to the next harmonic scale with frequencies and sounds. And these there are long waves, there are short waves, and there are very rapid waves. And anytime you reach one, I think that goes all the way up to the 12th octave, or I mean, I don't know, up to the 12th, and then boom, we go on to a higher or lower frequency. And this is parallel to our consciousness and the different levels we reach within consciousness, and how there's just always an entirely new next scale of sounds and colors and information and experiencing. And in astrology, being that each planet has its own frequency, has its own tone, has its own sound, and creating and constantly performing a symphony through the universe. And each planet, has a different, gravity and a different magnetic force, and how it operates in our reality. And part of what I'm going to attempt here is just to go over the basics of each planet, and to kind of help with preparing with what's ahead coming up in the world. Because as you all know, I mean, if you're friends of mine, if you're connected to mine, if you're subscribed to my channels, then like I'm into the conspiracies and the disclosure movement, and I want to know what's out there, what's the truth. And I, as we can all see with the pandemic and everything, is the shit's popping off right now. Because we are in the midst of, the culmination and ending in the beginning of very powerful cycles, grand cycles of time. Ancient civilizations around the world have, through astrology, through astronomy, through spirituality and observation, have been able to map out vast cycles of times, informing us that the level of consciousness within humans on the planet correlate with these vast amounts of times entering and exiting out of different ages, out of different stages of the evolutions of humanity. In ancient Hinduism, they call it the Kali Yugas and the Golden Age. And as we know, Earth, as science has been confirming, especially through the studies of the ice cores in Antarctica, it is a natural occurrence for the poles to switch. It is a natural occurrence for the weather to change, for there to be a global warming period and a global cooling period. So just, informing you that we are always in the midst of different cycles, and not just cycles that stay in a loop, cycles that move in a spiral motion going up, sort of a vortex. And this, my attempts with all this is just to, help us ground with this sense of faith and certainty within ourselves, and where we are placed within these, short cycles and grander cycles. Okay, so, excuse me. So, the sun represents our conscious awareness. The moon represents our subconscious, our emotional awareness. The moon is also our psychic and intuitive connection with others and animals and things of that nature. Excuse me, Mercury, the mind, which is also the intellect and information, data, skills, learning. Mercury is androgynous, is Hermes. Now here we have Venus, which is, money, values, resources, beauty, partnerships, relationships, the feminine energy. Then we have Mars, which is our desires, our passion, our physical action, our blood, the blood drive. And this is conflict, ego, machines, very masculine energy. Mars, the god of war, the god of assertion. Then we have Jupiter, which is expansion, knowledge, travel, luck, fortune, comedy, religion, politics, opinions. It's a masculine energy. Zeus. And then here we have Saturn, which is authority, structure, rules, limitations, integrity, karma, time, responsibilities, corporations, government, gravity, earth reality, Chronos. Then here next we have Uranus, which is genius, originality, rebellion, shock, randomness, frequencies, aliens, weird, awkward, masculine energy. Then next we have Neptune, divine spirituality, dreams, dimensions, movies, Hollywood, fantasies, Christ consciousness, delusions, escapism, martyrdom, sacrifice, suffering, masculine energy, Poseidon. And then next we have Pluto. Pluto, transformation, death, rebirth, creation, sex, shared resources, the shadow, the unconscious, taboo and forbidden, occult knowledge, surgery, hidden, secrets, wisdom, intensity, masculine energy, Hades, lord of the underworld. So we are always in a grand symphony full of harmonies, resonance, nuances, and background noise, distortions. And in between Saturn and Uranus, there's a massive gap. So all these planets are the inner planets, the more personal planets. These planets, transit through the whole zodiac in a relative brief amount of time. As the sun takes, 365 days, one whole solar year to go through the zodiac. The moon takes 28 days to go through the whole zodiac, spending 2 to 3 days in each sign. Mercury moves really fast and can go through the whole zodiac in less than a year. Same with Venus. Mars takes 2 years to go through the whole zodiac, and Jupiter takes 12 years to go through the whole zodiac, whereas Saturn takes 28 to 30 years to go through the whole zodiac. Saturn is the ruler of the physical reality. Saturn is the authority and the ruler of Earth and the 3D physical plane, which is also why in the Tree of Life in Kabbalah, Saturn is the bottom orb, Earth. Saturn is the ruler of Malchut, Earth, the 3D physical plane. Saturn is structures, authority, governance, rules, gravity. And all these other planets within are, more personal personality traits, whereas the sun is your conscious awareness. It's your prominent characteristics of your ego and your personality. And then the moon is your emotional intelligence, your emotional awareness. And sometimes, people are born during a quarter moon square, which means that their moon, they're born with their moon at a hard angle to their sun, which is, an explanation to why some people have contradictory emotions over what they actually do and say. So then we have Mercury, which is the mind, which is what helps. Mercury tells us the way in which we process and communicate information and our experiences. Money is our beauty, our aesthetics, and our value in money. Mars is our determination and how we take actions around our goals. And then Jupiter is our higher knowledge, our expansion, where we apply purpose and meaning, where we may form strong opinions. And then Saturn is the authority. Where we have Saturn in our chart is where we are grounded through gravity to take responsibility of our life and our karma here in this physical plane, which is why Saturn also governs time and karma and integrity. So once we get past Saturn, to get to Uranus, it's a vast distance, a massive distance. All these other planets are relatively close, orbiting around the sun, or close to from our perception here on Earth. We can see all these planets with the naked eye. But then Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are very, very far past Saturn. And in between Saturn and Uranus, we have the asteroid belt, which is also known as the Rainbow Bridge. And because it's a journey, because once we are moving past the boundaries of the 3D physical plane, when we go towards trans-Saturnian energy, meaning we are transcending out of the rulership of Saturn and moving into further out into the universe, further out into the solar system, where we are tapping into a more profound, divine, spiritual, cosmic knowledge that are much more advanced beyond the 3D physical plane. Those are Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. And Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are generational planets, where Uranus spends 7 years in one sign, taking about 74 to 80 years to do one full orbit. Neptune takes a long time to go around the Earth, almost about 200 years. And then Pluto takes, about 250 years, give or take a few years, to go throughout the whole zodiac. So these are generational planets, Gen Z, millennials, what are the other ones? All the other past time generations there. So there is a rainbow bridge that takes us through passage, leaving the physical plane and going into the more trans-Saturnian, higher frequencies. And that's through the asteroid belt. And this is where Chiron comes into the picture. So Chiron is the energy that takes us through the rainbow bridge to transcend the pain of reality, because it is pain existing here on Earth. It's being alive in this physical plane is pain, and there's suffering and wounds that come about here because so Chiron is the wounded healer, medicine, trauma, and Chiron is the key to heal from living into 3D and how to tap into your gifts that help uplift others. So Chiron is a very, very important key, literal key, in helping us heal from the distortions and the pain and the suffering that we experience from the gravity of reality living under the rulership of Saturn. So the other thing you have to understand is that all these energies, all these things are unconditional, which means they don't know good, they don't know bad, they just respond. So, the Kabbalah Illuminati elite, we all know that they worship Saturn, right? The black cube, that's what all of those rituals are about, Saturn, because they want to tap into that Saturnian energy and use its power to project a distorted, inverted, perverted matrix construct ruling the consciousness of earthlings in the physical world. So there is much distortions. We have not been operating under the divine blueprint for humanity, for life. We have been in disresonance and disharmony, in a distortion of things. And so because of that, each and every one of us here experience a level of pain, a level of trauma, whether we're conscious of it or not. Even if you've lived a good, happy, fulfilling life, there is something on a soul level that lets each and every one of us know that something's not right here. Something is out of alignment, and it's been kept hidden from me, and I just can't see it. But deep within my soul, there's this silent agony. There's this silent pain, because we are all connected. And there are many things kept hidden and secret that are very dark and taboo. So Chiron is the key to help us heal our wounds and tap in to the mechanisms of healing, forgiving, and our medicines that bring us into these higher states of awareness, to tap into this higher consciousness and download them. And this is, this is the energy of the shaman, the energy of the healer, the energy of the witch doctor. So, this is just a very short, brief introduction of all these things. Of course, I can go into, far more depth of it, but we're already over 20 minutes into everything here. So the reason why, I started out with explaining that, we're always in greater cycles and different ages of consciousness, because right now it is very plain and obvious to see that we are indeed in an apocalyptic cycle. Okay. Aries being the first sign of the zodiac. So anytime a planet transits out of Pisces and goes into Aries, that planet is starting a brand new cycle. And depending on one planet that is, will let us know how long that cycle is for. For example, every time Jupiter enters Aries, Jupiter has just started a new 12-year cycle through the zodiac, because Jupiter spends approximately 1 year in each sign. So it takes 12 years for Jupiter to go through the whole zodiac. Another example would be Saturn. Saturn being the ruler of Earth. Saturn takes 28 to 30 years to go through the zodiac. So every 30 years, when Saturn is transiting through Pisces, it is an ending cycle of on a frequency level for the consciousness and the rulership of Earth before Saturn enters Aries. And so every 30 years, when Saturn enters Aries, the current rulers of Earth, the Illuminati elite, they reset the next level of their one world government agenda. And we are towards the buildup of the beginning this new 30-year cycle. And we have a lot of things that have been building up, been slowly entering into the backs of our mind over the last 30 years as to what to expect the future to possibly look like and be experienced as. So what do I mean by that? Like right now, some of the topics are, some of the hot topics are, vaccines, and everybody being mandatory to take vaccines. Another topic is AI. What's going to happen with AI technology and transhumanism? And through transhumanism and microchips, we come up with new social constructs, a new social currency where people are that much more managed and controlled and monitored through the use of AI, algorithms, transhumanisms, getting microchipped and being plugged into computers where computers can tell if you're vaccinated or not, and you're able to access your money through your centralized controlled banking system, whether if depending on how accordance you are living to the new social constructs. So these are things that have been building up. They've been building up for the last 30 years. With computers, technology, and so this is where we're heading. And now that Pluto is entering Aquarius, and Pluto's entering Aquarius, Pluto's going to retrograde back into Capricorn very soon, and then be in Capricorn for the rest of the year until next year, when Pluto enters Aquarius full swing, and Pluto will be in Aquarius for approximately 18 years. So a lot of the things that I was just saying about AI and technology and management and society and groups, because Aquarius is the world, it's humanity, it's how we come together as humans, it's group gathering. Like I'm gonna go to an alien event tomorrow, and that's totally an Aquarius theme situation there. A gathering of collective mind individuals, seeking greater truth and greater connection to, higher levels of consciousness. Aquarius, alien. So, bear with me, everybody. So, right now. So going back to the symphony, right, to the music here. So Saturn is this like long hum in the symphony, because this is what I'm trying to orchestrate for you, is understanding the symphony of the universe. Because regardless of what I do, what you do, or what anybody else in the movement does, we're all just playing roles and parts of grand cycles within human consciousness. So no matter what happens, like we're heading into the next era, so the next stages, regardless. And there are, however, parallels into how it can be experienced, and that's the war we are in right now. We are in the war of taking the control and the sovereignty back as to where as humanity is heading through these next cycles. So this is really powerful here. This is really important that we are waking up, and that we are conscious, and that we're not staying asleep, falling in line with what they're trying to get us to consent to. And they've lost. It was an attempt, and it failed as soon as it became an attempt. So anyways, going back to Saturn. So Saturn, Saturn is like this heavy hum. A heavy hum that you can't escape. It's this big gravitational pull that keeps you grounded into reality. And, you know, Saturn has entered Pisces March 2023 and will be in Pisces until February 2026. In 2025, there will be a brief moment of a couple of months where both Saturn and Neptune exit Pisces together and move into Aries, and then they'll retrograde back into Pisces together. And then in 2026, they'll go back into Aries together. This is really, really, really freaking huge, okay? The reason why this is huge, so, you know, like I said, every 30 years, Saturn starts a whole new cycle, and every 30 years, the ruling powers of Earth implement the next stages of their plans for one world government takeover, entirely enslaving the consciousness of humanity. What's different about this cycle, the ending of this Saturn cycle now, as Saturn will go into Aries by 2026, the difference, what makes this cycle so fucking powerful, is that Neptune is in Pisces. Neptune is the ruling planet of Pisces. So Neptune is at home, and Neptune has been in Pisces since 2012 and will be there till 2025, 2026. All right, this Neptune in Pisces transit is what I and other astrologers call a mini age of deception and also an age of spiritual realignment. This cycle is meant to activate psychic abilities, dissolve the veil, increase manifestation, increase unconditional response of beliefs and synchronicities. So, you know, Pluto, the last time Pluto was here, the last time Neptune was in Pisces was about 200 years ago. And so in this cycle where we are now, both Saturn, the ruler of Earth, and Neptune, the ruler of, you know, Christ consciousness, fantasies, escapism, and divine spirituality, are going to be starting brand new cycles together. So the reason why I'm talking about this is because Saturn in Pisces, I'm going to make another video telling you, more about Saturn in Pisces, but Saturn in Pisces, what Saturn in Pisces wants to do right now is to awaken people out of the delusion, is to awaken people out of the sleep and out of the story and how we disconnect and escape the pain of the reality we know is true. For example, you know, it's become more and more normal to go to a random group of people and say 9/11 was an inside job, and to have more people agree and say, yeah, you know what, I think 9/11 was an inside job. Whereas 10 years ago, 20 years ago, you say that and you are then a crazy conspiracy nut. So there's so much information and proof that is informing us, that there's human trafficking, Jeffrey Epstein, Hillary Clinton, and Bill Gates, and everything that Bill Gates is doing, and all the information coming out about the pandemic and masks and vaccines and everything being bullshit. Like, we all know now, like we are knowing and understanding how fucked up everything is. But where is the revolution? Where is the uproar? There are more people protesting out in the streets for their rights to have gender-neutral bathrooms and confusing ideologies around genders, and lots of targeting and propaganda being shoved down the throats of our children and the next generation. But where is the uproar in the streets for justice of the crimes against humanity? It has not. See, even though we are collectively becoming more and more aware of the corruption and the evil that has been taking place, there's still a part of us that is checked out because it's too much, right? It's intense. And for those of us that are already here and have been here, aware of all this stuff for many years now, like, we've just been waiting for the rest of the world to catch on, right? Because as one of my favorite quotes in the movie The Matrix, where Morpheus is walking Neo through the simulation, he tells Neo, he says, the very people we are trying to save are also our enemies, because they do not know that they are plugged into the Matrix and they are prison guards of their own prisoner and will do anything to protect, the homeostasis of their comfort, of their complacency. And as Morpheus is telling Neo this is when the woman in the red dress walks past him, and he says, were you paying attention, or were you busy being distracted by the woman in the red dress? Very, 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 very important things to take note from that scene in the movie. So Neptune, escapism, Pisces, delusions, suffering, martyrdom, age of deception, and also age of spiritual realignment. So through the journeys of being decepted by many different things, we come into more alignment of spirituality and our divinity. The good and the bad has to happen together to get the result of becoming more in alignment with truth, with sovereignty. So Saturn in Pisces right now is waking people up out of their bullshit fucking victim mode story. And in the coming years, as Saturn gets closer with Neptune, rude awakenings, and waking the fuck up. And, oh gosh, I'm going to make other videos more about that. So stay tuned and look at my channel, look at my content, so you can see all the different bits and pieces and get fully caught up to gear here. So what's going to happen? as Saturn and Neptune move into Aries together, this is what's going to happen. This is what I expect to happen, is for the gravity of what's been done, the crimes against of humanity, really hitting the heart. Like all of a sudden we're like, oh my gosh, like all together, this is enough. And we rise and the revolution begins. Because shortly after Saturn and Neptune go into Aries together, Uranus is going to enter Gemini, and Pluto will be a few degrees further into Aquarius. So no matter what, nothing is going to stop the evolution of the consciousness of humanity. But we are at a war right now, and that's why we are so important to fucking hold it down and holding it down. So there have been several, like another example is, every year there's been more arrests over in Disneyland and in Disney World, where employees and human traffickers and child pornography rings have been exposed and arrested, dealing with employees working in Disneyland and in Disney World. And if you do the fucking research, you can see without a doubt all the evidence that lets you know the evil behind the Disney corporation, the Disney industry. And so, this Saturn and Pisces transit ending with Saturn and Neptune ending Pisces together, going into Aries, this is like finally like all this shit like finally hitting you and getting angry and getting triggered and upset in that Aries nature, and restarting and resetting a cycle of fighting and taking the power back, and taking back control of this earth, of this reality, and seeking justice, seeking the truth. And so this is a lot here. Let's see, damn, my phone's gonna die soon. Yeah, so there's a lot more I want to say, but I'm already getting at up to 40 minutes. I'm already getting up to 40 minutes here. But again, like my whole spiel about this is that we are in the middle of a symphony here, yeah, I guess that's all I have to say right now, because my phone's gonna die and I don't wanna lose this content. So stay tuned for more videos, more information. Again, like this is 17 years of my life that where I've gotten my information through my studies, through my own life experiences. I've had more than one near-death experience and have firsthand dealt with fighting in this spiritual war, going through many different levels and conquering many different devils and accessing deeper and deeper wells of wisdom and knowingness within. And my intention behind this is just to help. It's just to help and just to contribute and to remind us about certain things, and especially to remind us about our human nature and how easily our human nature can and is always being manipulated to work against us. Because we are very simple, primitive creatures, but also profound spiritual beings. So it's an interesting balance of integrating, our consciousness and balancing it with the physical, primitive nature of the human experience. So that's it for now. Peace, everybody.